Being a Rotarian is now even more rewarding. Rotary Global Rewards, our member benefit program, offers discounts you can use every day and helps Rotarians do what they do best: give back. The good you do comes back to you. Rotary Global Rewards. Find out more at rotary.org/myrotary.
Welcome everyone to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. I'm so pleased that you're here today. It's a great crowd for what will be, I'm sure, another incredible program. To get us started today, Past President Ed Monette will lead us in our invocation, and then Jerry Murator will lead us in our song and pledge. So, Ed, thank you.
Please join me in prayer. Almighty God, we thank you for this day and its blessings, its opportunities, and its challenges. We ask you for strength and guidance for each day's duties and each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best effort in all we do. Thank you for Rotary that enables us to help make our community, nation, and world a better place for all. Amen.
Please join me in God Bless America, followed by the pledge. God bless. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, again, welcome everyone to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. It's our tradition to have someone up here to introduce our visitors and our visiting Rotarians, but due to our crowded agenda today, we're going to abbreviate that, and I will get the honors. So, if you are here with a guest, we would encourage and ask that each Rotarian host and his or her guest would stand for a moment. We'd like to recognize you in one group with a round of applause. And if any visiting Rotarians that are here will stand up, we'll greet you with a rousing Hi Rotarian. We have at least one. Great. All of you guests, come back next time. We will make sure and introduce you individually. Thank you all very much. We always start our program with a reminder of upcoming events and programs, so get your telephones out and take some notes. Next week's program will be Bob Portis from the Tulsa Port of Catoosa to tell us about the incredible things that they do there and its importance to our state and our nation. On March the 2nd, don't forget we have the Above and Beyond Awards. Bring your guests. There's not a more uplifting, polished program than that one over the years. So if you want a highlight of a program to bring guests, family members, etc., think about bringing them on March the 2nd. On March the 23rd, Leah Wheatholder will be here to tell us a little bit about her job, which at least it sounds exciting to me, of snooping out fraud in the workplace. So she might have some good war stories to tell us. On March 29th, don't forget to register on DACDB for our trip to Oklahoma City to visit with the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City. There will be tours of neat sites in Oklahoma City, both before and after the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City meeting, and we'll be taking a bus together, and I'm still working on whether or not there will be adult beverages on the way back. I don't know. So anyway, go to DACDB or check with the office. On March the 30th, our normal Rotary program will be a vision meeting. We don't have a slide on that, but that will be on our upcoming vision vote, so look for that. On April the 13th, Malcolm McCollum will be here to talk about Tulsa Tough, the bike race that we have here that's getting national notoriety. And then a reminder, on May 18th, we will be meeting at the Tulsa Zoo. I hope we can get you there for that meeting. And I promise good weather. I've done it once before and it worked, so that's my second promise. A reminder of our committee meetings today. The Above and Beyond Committee will meet in the Beacon Room, the Budget Committee in room 233. Our next strategic planning focus group, you know who you are, is meeting in room 234. Don't forget. International Projects in Adult Classroom 208 and Rotary Youth Exchange in room 232. Who says we don't do anything in the Rotary Club of Tulsa? We're doing lots. All right, today we have the privilege of introducing a couple of new members to the club. It's always exciting to do that, so Michael and Paul, if you'll make your way up. While they're on their way up here, I want to make sure and thank our Rotarian, John Story, for conducting the orientations. Thank you, John. I trust you told them all the good stuff. Yes. To my fellow Rotarians, I urge you to become fast friends with these new Rotarians just as quickly as you can and get them on your committees. So who's first? Looks like Michael is first. Come on up.
Thanks, President Jeff. It is a true honor today to introduce a good friend of mine, Robert Babcock. Robert is the manager of community relations for Oklahoma Natural Gas, and we've known each other for about 3 years, and so it's been fascinating for me to see Robert engage in so many different things. And I think that as you get to know him, philanthropy, civic engagement, community engagement, helping others with diversity and inclusion measures and programs is really a huge part of Robert's life. And I asked him at one point, so what led you to Rotary? Because he's been with me a few times, Robert, over the last 3 years, and it took me a while to get him to bite the fish, but he said because he had, in another life, been a part of a Lions Club. He wouldn't mention which one. I don't know if it was in Tulsa, but early back, he and a good friend that he knows from Fayetteville, his friend was very involved with the Rotary Club there, and Robert was always amazed at how engaged she would be and also what Rotary Club not just did for the community that you live in, but also for the world. And he's reminded of that, where's Tim Caldwell, every day when he walks by the Rotary Plaza downtown when he sees that. And so it's, I think, a great thing for him. Robert serves on quite a few boards in the community. One that I have to mention, of course, first is Project Special Courage, my board. Thank you, Robert. Iron Gate and Family Safety Center. He's also very involved with Tulsa Area United Way, among many other things. He and his spouse, Bill Major, again, very philanthropic, very engaged, have 2 kids, daughter Emily and son Bobby. Emily works for Reese's and Bobby is a student at TU. And I might also mention that he was in the Marine Corps prior to going to TU. Just thought I'd throw that out. Loves outdoors. He's on a 50-state running club, marathons in 50 states. He's at number 13. He's going to Phoenix, I think, or somewhere to run another marathon. So anyway, he's got a few things going on, but great guy, and I think you're going to be very excited to work with Robert on many projects. And President Jeff, he knows a lot about membership recruitment. He does that for diversity and inclusion, so I just really wanted to emphasize he's good with membership recruitment. So again, my pleasure today to introduce our new member, Robert Babcock.
Okay. I'm honored to introduce our newest member and my friend Cameron Walker to the club. Cameron's the Executive Director and President of Tulsa Habitat for Humanity. He spent the majority of his professional career in new business development, marketing, and nonprofit management. Cameron graduated from Oklahoma State University with a bachelor's degree in journalism and broadcasting and lives in Tulsa with his wife Sarah and their 3 children. He serves on the board of directors of Tulsa International Mayfest and is a member of Crossover Bible Church here in town. In his free time, he enjoys coaching youth sports, traveling, and spending time in the great outdoors. And so, Cameron, it's my honor to welcome you as the newest member of the Rotary Club of Tulsa, and here's your red badge.
It's always great to have New members, I appreciate the club for picking it up here in the last few weeks. We've had new members almost every week, so way to go. Let's keep it up. Robert and Cameron, thank you guys for deciding to make Rotary a part of your life, and let us know how we can make it valuable and rewarding to you. Alicia, the Sergeant-at-Arms, is not here today, so I get the pleasure of recognizing and thanking our sponsors, who are J.D. Young, with that person who cannot be identified. It's not our fault that that's the picture we have, it's the picture we have. And Moore Funeral Home Directors. Thank you to Elaine Moore-Jones, Lynn Moore, Joe Moore, and David Dopp, all our Rotarians. I want to emphasize how important our sponsorship dollars are to help us fill the gap in our club budget, and I encourage you to tell us how your Rotary sponsorship can be more valuable, and to all you Rotarians, I encourage you to do business with your fellow Rotarians. Let's thank our sponsors. As we have done throughout the year, we want to highlight every once in a while the good things that Rotary International is doing around the world. So here's a little video emphasizing just one little snippet of what the foundation is doing overseas that's not polio. We talk a lot about polio. This is something else, and I think you'll enjoy this video.
Rotarians, they came here when her mother and father died.
We picked this family around 2004. We were led by a young sister. So we gave them assistance in terms of health, in terms of food, and other utensils that they wanted as a normal child. When these children fall sick, we normally use their guardians and the neighbors. So they telephone to us and seek for help. Because this is a longer distance, in most cases they can't travel to the hospital. So they call us and explain what happens with them and what their problem is. We normally come, examine them, and treat them.
I want to become a nurse to help the orphans. I don't want to see them when they are crying, sick, and they don't have anything to eat.
Despite the fact that their parents died, they wish to have the best life that we all have.
You may remember that Brooke and her Rotaract friends ran our January 20th meeting, and as I've gotten to know Brooke, and many of you know her, so I don't want to act like I'm the only one who knows her, but as I've gotten to know Brooke, I really find her personal story to be very compelling, and I asked her if she'd be willing to let me interview her for just a few minutes so that all of you get to know Brooke better, instead of just that young lady who ran our meeting and who is the Rotaract person for a lot of reasons, but one of them is your story about your upbringing in southwest Oklahoma. So tell the club a little bit about where you were born, your family, and where you grew up, et cetera, before you got to college.
I was actually raised in Cache, Oklahoma. My aunt and uncle, who were in their mid-60s, took guardianship of my sister and I at a very young age. I think I was about 7, and my sister 8. Specifically, my father had died of a heart attack at an early age, and my mother, coming from a family of 10 children, she was the last one born of 10, and my grandmother, having been close to 50 when she had her, on that scale of mild to severe, she's mildly mentally retarded. So she was unable to really take care of my sister and I, or my brother. I have a brother as well. Still have a brother, but he didn't go with my aunt and uncle whenever they took guardianship of us. So raised by them, elderly couple, they had children that were the age of what my biological mother would have been, and had grandchildren my sister and I's age. So I was raised by an older family, and they didn't really have a lot of financial means, so she made sure we would go to college by going and talking to the counselor at the school and seeing what scholarships were available outside of just good grades. So fortunately for her and her encouragement and support, my sister and I were both able to go to college, and subsequently I went to the University of Oklahoma, and then where I am today.
So then you went on after you graduated from OU for medical training, right? Tell us a bit about that.
It's tough. It's really tough. I graduated college, went to medical school, that was 4 years, and then did 3 more years of residency, 2 more years of fellowship. So I'm just finishing my fellowship, and when you think about it, undergrad's 4 years, medical school's 4 years, that's 8, and you add 3 and 2, you got an extra 5 years there. So I've been in school for a very long time.
I'm sure your rewards are, you know what I mean, your financial rewards are coming. If you started
Coming, yes. Not right now, but coming.
Now, tell me a tad bit about when you were at OU, you told me you decided to kind of start your own sorority, and I thought that was an interesting story. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, well, one, I didn't have the finances to join one of the regular Panhellenic sororities or even National Pan. And after starting classes, I met several young women who were kind of in the same boat as me, but they also didn't feel that they fit one sorority over another. So we came together and we found a sorority that was nationally known, Sigma Lambda Gamma, and we brought it to the University of Oklahoma. So I'm the founder of a sorority at the university that's still going, 10 years strong, and it was neat.
That's great. So you're kind of a groundbreaker, I would say, perhaps. So you have a heart for community service, obviously. You're the president of Rotaract. And what is it about the importance to you of community service that leads it, you're one of the busiest people I know, to spend that extra time doing community service? Why do you have a heart for that?
Well, community service is always about giving back, and I think that along my route, it wasn't just my aunt and uncle who gave to me. It was multiple people outside of that in the community, teachers, anybody that I can think of that would help me get to where I was. So giving back is just something that I want to do. It's a personal commitment that I've made to myself to just continue to do throughout my life, regardless of what it is.
Great. Well, you've told me a little bit about your distant future plans. Someday you might want to do something with a little bit of more notoriety than just being an ornithologist. Do you want to tell us how we might help you with that?
Well, I do want to practice medicine. I didn't go to school for all these years for nothing, and I do plan to do that for at least 12 years. I would like to enter a role in the political field. So eventually, say you're 12, 13, go into lieutenant governor or governor of the state, and eventually proceed forward with something even higher.
Wow. It's always good to be ambitious. I don't know if it'll be here, but if it is, you've got 400 votes here. So I warned you I might ask you this, Brooke. We talk a lot about membership and wanting to have young members in our say one young person to another, what's your quick speech in support of something like Rotaract or Rotary?
I'd say, Jeff, it's a pleasure meeting you. And if you're interested in Rotary, it really is service above self and giving back not only to your community, but on an international level as well. And then I would also proceed forward to discuss that most people our age think of Rotary as a bunch of people 80 and older. So I would persuade them, not persuade them, but inform them that Rotary isn't. Rotary is everybody 18 to 99. It doesn't matter the age. And I would also not persuade them, but also tell them that it's male and female. It's not just men. Because people my age, or even younger than me, think of Rotary as an older generation, and mostly men, not women. So there's a lot of women that are very surprised to find out that Rotary is male and female.
Great, so all of you remember that as you're approaching your next young person to ask them to be a member of Rotary. So as we wrap it up, I wanted to make sure that you got to know, or at least recognize, an important face in our club. Someone that I think for your career might be someone you need to get to know. Sue Ann Giersdorf, where are you, Sue Ann? She has a connection to the field of oncology, and I hope that this will be a Rotary connection that might have some benefit to you in the future. Sue Ann knew that I was going to have her stand up and say hi to you, and I hope you guys get acquainted. So I want to tell you lastly, thank you again for doing the interview. You have at least one lifelong friend, and we wish you the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're going to sit here for a second while I segue into the next thing I'm going to have at the table. Last week we watched another Born to Create drama commercial, and I told you we had one in the can. We're going to save that because, as Mac Finlayson came up and told me before the meeting, pitchers and catchers are reporting this week for Major League Baseball. Additionally, that young man who just hit a home run there on the right is my son, and his team, Holy Cross, is starting their opening series this weekend against Long Beach State. So we need to mark the beginning of it. There he is pitching a fly ball against the wall against Texas A&M. Sorry, that's presidential privilege. I won't do this to your meeting, I promise. So we decided to play a really fun commercial from Japan that sort of marks their love for the game of baseball, and it continues our series of commercials this year. I think you'll find this to be really fun.
スポーツで毎日がもっと楽しくなる。
All right, Tim, Michelle, and Catherine, if you'll make your way up to the side mic, we've got some important project announcements for everyone. And Tim, have at it.
Mr. President, thank you so much. Well, we have a little project over the next couple of weeks we want to tell you about. If we could have that first slide. We are going to be retaking photos, and there's a reason for this. If you've looked in our Rotary DAC DB membership directory, it's pretty much out of date. There are so many pictures in black and white. We want to update those to color photos. And there are some other reasons, too, that you should be participating in this retake. Of course, as Rotarians, you can call Jerry Cornelius at any time and schedule a retake at his studio. But we're going to make it easier for you. On March 2nd, which is also our Above and Beyond Awards Day, we're going to, Jerry's going to be bringing his studio to First Methodist, and it'll be located in Thomas Hall. So please stop by, and if you need, I'm sorry, Parker Hall. We're in Thomas Hall. Parker Hall is the large room just off the hallway here. So why? Who needs to have their picture retaken? Well, all right. Well, first of all, we want to, as I mentioned, our DAC DB is really seriously out of date. We want to promote our club better to new members and update all those pictures to color. And some Rotarians are, I don't get this, they're missing it altogether. There's no photo at all in there. So who should retake? Well, if your photo is in black and white, or especially if it is your junior high milk card identification photo, it's time to take it. Or if you've submitted a photo that just doesn't fit our format, John, you need to retake that photo too, by the way. We're really looking for tight face shots for all of these in color. You got part of that right, John. All right, and then the third one is if we don't have a picture of you at all. And those are the three reasons you should be taking your picture. And if you don't show up and get your picture retaken, either at Jerry's studio or on March 2nd here in Parker Hall, this is what's going to go up in DAC DB. Please plan to have your photo retaken if need be on March 2nd. I'm sorry. Yes, March 2nd. Great, thanks.
Well, good afternoon, and my photo has been taken recently, so I'm good. Okay, the Social Committee and also the Diversity and Inclusion Committee have come together and planned an action-packed event coming up. When was the last time that you had the opportunity to bring family and friends and see a Black Heritage History Museum? You had the opportunity to then learn about internationally recognized goat research. An athletic director has personally invited you to a reception, and you can go to a women's basketball game and a men's basketball game, all for the total of $15 a person. I hope that many of you were as impressed, as moved as I was last fall when we heard Cheryl Miller, who came to talk about the women's basketball program at Langston University. So we're going to travel February 27th, be there about 1:45, and enjoy all of those things that I just described to you. Now, the Rotary office is going to send everyone a personal email this week with the link, and you can just click on there. You don't pay any money through Rotary. You need to pay when you arrive. We'll start about 1:45. We'll send you directions exactly where to be at Langston. If you can't, stay for all the events. If you can't come that early, we'd love to see you. So far, Jeff and I are signed up. It's going to be great, but we would love for everyone else to join us.
Unless you don't like us.
That wouldn't happen at all. So please come, bring family and friends. It's a wonderful time to inspire youth in women's basketball, men's basketball, and, when was the last time an athletic director invited you to a reception? And goat research, right?
Thank you.
Well, I was asked to compel you all to come work at MSNI Warehouse this weekend. And then they told me I had 90 seconds. And for those of you who know me, that's not going to happen. So I thought I would just do a little slide presentation to compel you to join us. So here it goes. Thank you. So I'll see everybody this weekend, right? Okay, sign up. The sheets are on your table. They should be. Do we have sheets on the table?
Sheets on the table? No sheets on the table. DACDB is the way to go.
And if you don't know how to do that, just catch me after the meeting and I'll write your name down. Okay? Thank you.
Thanks, Catherine. All right, we've got a couple of project grant requests. So Michael and Rob, if you'll make your way up to the side mic, that would be great. Whoever is ready, it's ready golf here, so go ahead and approach the mic.
Well, it's a pleasure today. On our grant award team, it was Andrew Coffey and myself representing Rotary, and we got to visit with Tracy and other folks with the Sherwin-Miller Museum of Jewish Art, and we're very happy to present them with a $2,500 grant in support of their Kinder Stone project. And to see it was just more than amazing, and Tracy's going to share a couple of things about it. So, Tracy.
Thank you all to the Rotary Club of Tulsa Foundation. The mission of the Sherwin-Miller Museum of Jewish Art is to preserve and promote Jewish heritage, culture, history, and community through art and education. Your grant ensures that every student that comes to the museum can participate in the Kinder Stone project. This enduring project remembers the 1.5 million Jewish children that were murdered during the Holocaust and World War II. The more than 6,500 students that will visit the museum this year will decorate stones that have the child's name and the age they were when they were killed during the Holocaust. As of today, students have completed more than 12,000 stones. The students learn history while they participate in interactive, hands-on activity. The reason we use stones for this project is because, like the memory of these children, the stones last forever, and as a society, we should never forget. So thank you very much.
Hi. Last September, Michael Turner and I met with Susan Pierce and her father, Bob Deegan, out at Camp Lockridge, which is the site for Hope's Crossing Camp, which is a summer day camp for physically challenged children aged 9 to 15. The camp had been the brainchild of Bob Deegan, and I would like to introduce, well, anyway, the camp started in 2012, and it's continued to grow ever since. I'd like to introduce Susan Pierce with the camp, who will tell us more about the camp and what they're going to do with this $4,000 check.
I'm the short one of the bunch. There we go. Thank you so much for the donation. It is a gift of mobility, is how I would describe it. It is going to help us purchase a golf cart. Sounds kind of fun, But the reality of our camp is our kids have a variety of disabilities. They use crutches, wheelchairs, different kinds of walkers, and getting from activity to activity is sometimes our greatest challenge. So putting them in a golf cart, putting a wheelchair on the back, putting 3 kids on the golf cart, no wheelchairs, whatever, the golf cart works 24/7 every day of camp. Of course, it's also used in an emergency. If there's some need for a nurse to be somewhere, golf cart's always handy. We are also using the money to purchase a special bucket seat. It's for our zip line. And I think when we get to the end of the slides, you might see the zip line. But our kids are not able to climb a traditional pole. If any of you have ever done a zip line or any kind of ropes course, climbing the pole is not something our kids can do, so they literally get hoisted with a pulley system in kind of a car seat to the top so that they too can have the thrill of a zip line. So that's part of what we're using the money for as well. I've got to put in a plug. I know lots of you have teenagers, high school kids, college kids, and our counselors, we are a one-on-one counselor camper. Our counselors get 50 hours of public community service, which everybody needs these days for school and college and sororities and that sort of thing. Send them to our website, hopescrossingcamp.org. We need 40 to 50 volunteer counselors for 1 week of the summer. It will change their life. So thank you very much.
So one last thing before our speaker, I want to start our dialogue, which will continue until June, about the IBA Awards and its importance to this club. You all, I'm sure, are aware of what IBA Awards are about and what they have done for the foundation. The IBA Awards are the major fundraiser for our foundation. It's a way for us to promote the good deeds of notorious, that's not the right word, noteworthy athletes in our country and around the world. In order to garner more support for the awards this year, we've decided to identify two new charities who will receive some of the proceeds. The Little Lighthouse, that currently has a capital campaign underway, and the Oklahoma Special Olympics, whose executive director, Adrian DeWint, is a member of this club. We will continue to have highlights about the importance of IBA literally almost every week from now through the rest of the year. We've had a lot of people ask us to replay the video of Michael and Dana showing us the new venue for the event. After Samantha speaks today, we will show that video. Sorry, tech team, for that curveball. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our Rotarian of the Day, past president Linda Bradshaw. She's the owner of the Tulsa World of Gymnastics, has been in our club since 1997. She's won all the awards. She's the fellow of everything. She was Rotarian of the Year in 03-04 and president in 06-07. Please welcome Linda Bradshaw.
Good afternoon, Rotarians. Indeed, it is my pleasure today to introduce Samantha Marie Isler. Sammy is 17 years old. She is a junior at Bishop Kelly High School. She's a Paul Harris Fellow, and at the age of 13 accompanied our Rotary team down to Nicaragua to see the Water Well Project. Most recently, Sammy was inducted into the National Honor Society and was most recently also selected by the Tulsa World to be 1 in 10 to watch in 2016. Sammy resides here in Tulsa with her parents, Tara and Tony Isler, her younger sister, Haley, 3 dogs, Dixie, Daisy, and Minnie, and of course, grandparents, Wayne and Linda Bradshaw, and Randy and Mary Jo Isler. For years, Sammy has delighted our family with her diversified talents, whether at the piano, on the balance beam, singing, dancing, playing the guitar, producing, directing, writing, and editing her own videos, and of course, acting. Sammy has fun with everything she does. She first caught attention with her debut on the Today Show Kid Reporter contest, as you may recall, when she was just 11. That whet her appetite for the bright lights, and from there, a short documentary called No One Knows. Then came along a movie, Home Run. She was the only little girl on an all-boys baseball team. Dig Two Graves with actor Ted Levine. And then on to Hollywood, where she joined Sean Hayes with other wonderful actors. She made a guest appearance on Supernatural most recently and soon to be released in July with Viggo Mortensen, Captain Fantastic. It just debuted at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. Backing up a bit, after several of her first auditions, Sammy, I remember when you were 11 or 12, you would make the top finalist and you would not get the part. And you said to me, Grandma, they all say they wanted the one with the most experience. How do you get experience when you don't get experience? I'll never forget that. So with that, I realized right away, Sammy has a serious talent for acting. She also has memorization skills that are phenomenal. I watched her on California on set when she was there with professionals. As they would bloop and blubber, she never made a mistake. She was the most popular kid in the studio. So when did all this begin? Well, it began when she was born, and her grandparents and I, we all think she was born to be a star, and my pleasure to introduce my granddaughter, Samantha.
She has to say those nice things. She's my grandmother. And also, I was the favorite kid on set because I was the only kid on set. But again, I'm Sammy Isler, and thank you guys for having me. You guys have done so much for the community. I feel like just honored to be here with you guys. And this isn't my first time at Rotary. I'm really honored to be a speaker right now because I've been here so much just with my grandma, and you know, I've been here with Tulsa World Gymnastics in a leotard doing a little routine when I was like this big. Someone convinced me to be a part of a Christmas program, and I think it was probably you or Tina that made me dress up like a Christmas elf and dragged me around here. And I'm sure she encouraged and probably forced all of you to vote for me back in 2009 when I did that Kid Reporter contest. Yeah, I'm a Paul Harris Fellow, which is awesome, but I also got to go to Nicaragua back in 2012, I believe, with a lot of people here, so it's good to see you guys again. And that project, that trip meant a lot to me, just because it was really life-changing. I enjoyed just helping others, and it gave me a whole new appreciation just for my own blessings. So that's an incredible project, so I just want to say congrats on that. Yeah, and the Rotary motto, service above self, is something that I try to live by because I think that's really important. So I frequently get asked quite a bit of questions because my situation is a little strange and I'm young and people don't understand. They'd like to know a lot, so I'm going to try to answer a few questions. First question, how did I get here, like in the business? How did I get where I am? Well, you can ask my parents. I've always been so dramatic. When I was little, I used acting to get out of trouble a lot, or to get out of trouble at school, get out of gymnastics practice when I wasn't feeling good. But I really actually, in all seriousness, got a love for it when I was kind of about 10 or 11 years old, around the Kid Reporter thing. I enjoyed being in front of the cameras and I enjoyed doing that, but I didn't want to play myself on the Kid Reporter thing. I was Sammy and I was a little journalist and I was like, you know what, I want to be somebody else. And so I got a real love for it then, and I attended an acting class, a little workshop in Oklahoma City when I was maybe 11 or 12, just for fun. I just, read about it online, and my mom encouraged. She said, "Hey, this is something you like to do," and I was like, "Perfect." My mom found something for me, and I went down there and I met an amazing acting coach who has helped me to get where I am now. She, for some reason, she saw something in me. I don't know what it was. I guess I stood there with my hands in my pockets pretty well, and she, said, I'm having a workshop next weekend, and a manager from Los Angeles is actually going to be coming down here, a youth manager, and he's going to be meeting with some of my kids. Would you like to come? And I was like, I guess. I don't have anything else to do. So I went there, and I met with him, and he took a little bit of interest, and I kept in touch with him for 2 years, because he said, I think you could actually do this if you wanted to, but, you need to spend time really learning about what this industry is, and if you're willing to do it, because it's not really easy. Not saying easy is in the sense like acting is, but just there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make traveling and with your family. Make sure it's something you want to do. And so I for 2 years I really did my research, and I was like, you know what, I want to do this. I really enjoy it. So he signed me with his company, with his management company out in LA, and then he signed me with a Los Angeles agency, manager, agent, they're different, an agency out in California, coast to coast, where I work with 3 incredible women who represent me and help me get all my auditions. So I guess that's kind of a segue into the next thing, how the audition process works, because that's another question I get asked quite frequently. Some roles are offered directly to actors. not me. You have to be somebody for that to happen. But all the other roles are just people come in and audition. So depending on the role or the film, a director or a casting director or a producer will reach out to these agencies in California or just all over the world, just depending on what they're looking for. And they'll say, we're making a movie, we have a role for a 15, 16, 17-year-old girl, send me your top 20 girls. And so then they'll have a pool of a couple hundred girls. You'll go in, you'll audition, they'll narrow it down, and then until they get to the one. So yeah, you have the audition, you have the callback, there's chemistry read, which chemistry is just you reading with some other actors to see your chemistry. And then there's producer and director sessions where you go in and you read for the producers and directors. And that's not my favorite because it's just like 8 people in the room and you can tell they're tired and they just don't really want to be there anymore, and you go in and you have to try to make them smile and you try to be funny and then they're like, that wasn't that funny. And you're just like, I leave and I'm like, Mom, I don't think they liked me. But they're okay, they're great people, it's their job. And then a screen test is with usually just a television show does screen testing unless it's like a big film. But a screen test is, I had to do that when I did Sean Saves World because that was a network show and I was auditioning for a lead. And a screen test is just when everybody comes in and watches you. So it's like I'll just use my like personal experience, but it was all the head people at NBC and at Universal Studios. It was like all the head honchos there, and they all came in and watched me, and I think I was too young and naive to know what was going on. Wasn't super nervous, and I didn't really think much of it, which is good because now I understand it more and it freaks me out a little bit more. At the time, I was just like, But technology has definitely changed the casting process for sure. When I first started getting into acting, that's when technology kind of took over as far as the entertainment business, Now, I don't have to be in Los Angeles to go on auditions. My agent will call and say, hey, Sammy, I have an audition for you that is due in a couple days. And I'll say, okay. And my mom and I will go into my bedroom, set up a video camera, film the audition in my room. We'll edit it, put it on the computer, send it off, and that's that. The casting director can get on their laptop and click through. It's easier for them. It's easier for me. And so that's kind of changed casting a lot. And so all my jobs have actually been booked just from video auditions. I've never actually had to go into the room in Los Angeles for any of the jobs that I've booked. And video chatting is a big part of it too. Directors will, call me over FaceTime or Skype and I'll talk to them, and that's another part of the auditioning process as well. And that just kind of allows me to maintain a life in Oklahoma, which is nice because it's a very relaxing environment compared to the crazy like Los Angeles scene. So it's nice that I don't have to actually be living there all the time. But just because the auditioning process now is a little bit easier, it's not always the quickest thing. It's very actually just unpredictable. Like tomorrow night, my episode of Grey's Anatomy is coming on, so all of you should watch it. I'm kidding. What I was going to say. My episode of Grey's Anatomy is coming out tomorrow night, and so when I auditioned for that show, I auditioned back in the fall just on a Monday night. I sent in the audition. Tuesday at school, my mom called me and was like, they like you, they're considering you, maybe. And I was like, okay. And then Tuesday night, I came home and they called and they said, okay, we like you, you got it, we're flying you out in the morning for 2 weeks. And it was just like, it's so unpredictable. So you go home and you just pack and you're like, okay. You're not going to say no, obviously, but it kind of just throws your world in the loop for a second because I go to school, I'm a junior at Bishop Kelly, so I'm trying to figure out stuff. I'm like, please let me still go to school even though I'm going to miss 2 weeks. So it's very unpredictable. And like the film I just did a year and a half ago, Captain Fantastic, that's finally coming out now, but I auditioned for that, I think like early spring. And I didn't hear anything for 3 months, so I just assumed that I didn't get it. You just you audition, you move on, you don't expect to hear anything or else you can get disappointed, so you just learn to do it and keep going. And so I auditioned for that, and it was one of my favorite scripts that I had ever read. I wanted it more than any audition I've ever gone on, any project. But I didn't hear anything, and then I just get this call in the middle of summer, and they're like, okay, you got it, you're flying out at the end of the week. And it's a 3-month shoot. I was gone for like 80 days. So that wasn't a huge heads up. I was like, all right. But it's very unpredictable. You have to be willing to have a flexible schedule. And my family helps a lot with that too. I have a younger sister who's completely not into anything that I'm into. You know, she's here, she goes to Cassia Hall, she's into sports, into her friends. She's like, I can't get up and leave to go to California. So my family does a good job of making everything normal for us. And so my mom will travel with me, and my dad will travel with me, and my grandparents will watch my sister, and vice versa, all that. Another question I get a lot, usually mainly just from other kids, but I think people are confused about it. They ask me if I go to school at all. I'm like, well, yes, it's illegal not to go to school. I have to. I have to. It's not my choice. But I think they're just wondering how it all works and how I juggle it and manage it. So yes, I go to school. And in film and television, you actually have to maintain good grades. Like your school has to sign off, you know, my student is getting, or if you're homeschooled, just whatever, my student is getting good grades, they can work. Because if your grades fall, you don't get to do it. You don't get to act. And so I attended Montecasino up through 8th grade, and I started missing school in about 7th grade. Is kind of when I started acting. And so I would go away, and I always had set teachers with me, and so they would help me maintain my work while I was gone. And when you're in middle school, it's kind of easy to keep up with your work. It's not too crazy yet. But my freshman year of high school is when it got a little different. I actually had to move to California just for about 9 or 10 months because I was working on the sitcom, and I was the only kid, and so I had to begin homeschooling, and I was in an independent study program, and I had my own set teacher. And it was very different for me. And so I was kind of sad when I was there. No, I wasn't sad when I was there. I was kind of sad, though, because I was like, oh, I don't get to be a freshman in high school, like the dorky freshman with all my friends. I don't get the social aspect of it. All my friends are all these adults. And at first, that was really intimidating because I was just working with a bunch of adults. I was in a cast of 6 with 5 adults. So it's not only them, you have all the crew around you, the network, I was just in a pool of adults, as I am right now. I seem to always be. I'm never with kids, ever. But I actually learned a lot from it. It made me, I don't know. I wouldn't say it matured me because I'm not mature, but it just, I can be, but I just learned a lot. I got my priorities straight when I was around adults more because I just learned what was important in life, and I had some incredible mentors with me, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, going to school, I kind of say my classroom was on the Universal Studios back lot because that's where we filmed Sean Saves the World. So when the day was over and everyone else got to go home and I had to sit in my classroom and do school, I would do school, and then I hop in a golf cart, and you have the Jaws set there, the Bates Motel, the Psycho House, the Phantom of the Opera set. So I tried to make it the best I could. And I also had the Universal Studios theme park to the left of me, of my dressing room. So during my lunch break, I would just kind of go over there because the employees would be on their smoke break in the back, right? And they're all standing there, and I'm like, do you think you guys could get me to the front of the Transformers ride? And they all stand there, and you know that they don't want to do it. They're tired, and they're just like, fine. And so they take me to the front of the line. I get on the ride. I made the best I could of it. But the experience was great. I'm just talking about the school part. But yes, I've gotten the chance to work with some really incredible people who have been mentors to me and taught me lessons just kind of on and off the set. Jimmy Burrows is one of the first directors that I worked with in film. TV. My first TV director. He directed the pilot and first episode of Sean Saves the World. And if you don't recognize his name, you will definitely recognize his work. He's probably one of the most famous directors in sitcom history. He directed The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Laverne and Shirley, Taxi, Cheers, Night Court, Frasier, Friends, Will and Grace, and there's a total of 50, but I'm not going to go. Those are just some of the best. And so, he has a really dry sense of humor, and he's a really funny guy, and he's probably just like, oh, I have to work with a 14-year-old girl. But when I got to know him, he was so incredibly nice to me, and he was so willing to help me because I didn't really know what I was doing. I went to the audition. I wasn't experienced in any way, and he understood that, and he knew, and he wanted to help me, and so he was very gracious towards me and taught me a lot and was very patient with me when I was trying to figure stuff out on set. And Sean Saves the World, I think, I will consider that kind of my first real big job. And again, I was very young. I didn't know much about acting or just life or just anything. I was the only kid, but I was in an incredibly, incredibly amazing cast. I was with Echo Kellum, Thomas Lennon, Megan Hilty, who's an incredible Broadway star, played Glinda in Wicked, Linda Lavin from Alice, obviously, Tony Award winner, Sean Hayes from Will and Grace, who's been on Broadway and has won Emmys, hosted the Tonys. I think he's incredible. And I've just formed special relationships with all of them, and they really were great towards me because since I was the only kid, they definitely could have just pushed me aside and just treated me, like looked down upon me, and they didn't. I wasn't equal to them. They included me in everything. They included my mom and I in everything, and they were really great. And I had a really kind of special relationship with Sean because he played my dad, and he just taught me a lot. You know, he helped me really stay grounded. Not that I ever had trouble with that, but he just said, you know what, like, your friends are playing volleyball right now and you're doing this. And that person down the street is a lawyer and that person's working at Starbucks and you're doing this and you are all equal and you're all the same. And I remember that through everything. So that means a lot to me. But since then, the only other television I've done, I guest starred on Supernatural, which is on the CW network, a couple of months back. And then I just recently guest starred on Grey's. And those were incredible experiences. And it's funny, though, because of all the people that I've worked with and all of the things I've done, my little sister is like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of cool, but she's so excited that I'm on Grey's Anatomy. It's like the peak of my career. I will never do anything as great as Grey's Anatomy in her eyes. She's 15. But it's kind of funny. Nothing I've really, I guess Grey's and Supernatural kind of, because they have a young audience, but nothing I've really done has been kid-friendly. Sorry. I'm always in a cast with adults. And the movie I just did the Captain Fantastic a year and a half ago, I'm with 5 other kids for the first time. I'm like in a family, but still, that movie's gonna be rated R. You guys can see it. You're 18 and older. Don't be upset if you, but yeah, I've never really worked with a lot of kids, and a lot of my roles have actually been, I wouldn't say mature, but just the content's a little bit more mature, at least just like language and stuff like that. And when I first started getting into it, you know, my family was just kind of like, that's not you, don't do stuff like that. And I'm like, no, it's not me, it's acting. And that's why I've always enjoyed like challenging myself, because I want to be people that I know I'm never going to be. If I'm not going to be some crazy rowdy kid. I mean, so all these parts that I'm getting to play, the things that I'm getting to say, I mean, I wouldn't in real life. So I think that's good on my part. I enjoy doing that because I get to be somebody completely different. And there have been some roles that I've tried really hard to, like, do justice. I mean, I think 2 roles. I did a short film a couple years back when I was about 13 years old, and it was called No One Knows. It was just a low-budget short film that was filmed here in Oklahoma. And I read the script, and I really wanted to do it. I was 13 years old, and the content of it is very dark, and it's very sad, but kids go through it, and it's a real issue, and it involves sexual abuse. While nothing was shown on screen, it was implied and insinuated, and everyone in my family kind of didn't discourage me from it. They were saying, like, they want me to act and everything, but maybe for one of your first jobs, maybe not do this. And I said, it's a job, and I want to do it, and I want to do it justice, because, you know, there are kids that go through this, and I don't want it to be fake, and if it's not going to be me, it's going to be someone else, and I think I can handle it. And so I've kind of looked at all my jobs like that. And then in Grey's Anatomy, I play Maya, who has a really, really strange, rare form of bone cancer, and the script was actually based off of a real young girl that the writer knows. And, you know, I think stories like that just kind of need to be told, and I enjoy, like, being involved in it and participating and representing somebody, so those roles mean a lot to me. Home Run, the movie, was my first job, my first movie, and I'm sure some of you know what that is. It was the faith-based film with Celebrate Recovery, an incredible film, and I had a really, really tiny little part in it, but that movie for me, just on set, the movie itself was incredible, but for me, it was just a complete learning experience. When I say I knew nothing, I knew nothing. I got on set, and I was standing there, and the director yells action, I stood there, and I was like, am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? And all the PAs are like, go, and I'm like, I don't know, where do I ride my bike to? I was like, I didn't know what was going on. I learned all the basics there. And now I wouldn't say I know everything, but it's a little bit more routine now for me. I kind of know what's going on, know what to expect. After Home Run, I did Dig 2 Graves, which was my first lead in a film. It was a really low budget independent film. And it's a different kind of story. It's very eerie. I play like a little tomboy, and but it was my first lead, and I filmed in hectic conditions. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know. We filmed that movie in Illinois, and it was probably 10 degrees every day, and I went through I did some crazy stuff for that movie, and I look back and I'm just like, why was I thinking that was okay? Like, one of the things I did an underwater scene, and I got 20 minutes of scuba diving lessons, and then I just was taken underwater into this underwater set, and I just started filming. I was like strapped underwater doing an underwater scene, and I had to learn to breathe through an apparatus and blow water out of my mask from 12 feet below. And I was like, why did I think that was okay or safe? But I survived. But the project that I'd say I'm most proud of is Captain Fantastic, which is the film I did 2 years ago, which is coming out this summer in theaters. I think everywhere. I hope everywhere. I don't. But that movie is about a family who lives an alternative lifestyle up in the Pacific Northwest. They, when I say alternative, it's they live off of the grid. They're self-sufficient. They're extremely intelligent. The 6 kids are. They're incredibly fit. They do everything for themselves. They don't really agree with society or religion, or they just kind of have started their own life. And something traumatic happens in their family that makes them kind of assimilate back into society and go back into the real world, and you just see how the kids deal with social situations, how the oldest boy deals with meeting a girl for the first time and not knowing what to do. I mean, these kids are homeschooled, have no friends. I mean, and so you just see this family kind of going into the real world and experience technology and all this politics and religion for the first time. And it has a really good message. And I think the message behind the movie is that you can't shelter your kids or force opinions or values or beliefs upon your kids. You can teach them what you think is right and what you know, but you have to let them go into the real world and experience things for themselves and let them draw their own conclusions. So I got to see that movie for the first time at the Sundance Film Festival about a month ago, and it was incredible. I'm so proud of it. Viggo Mortensen plays my dad. Frank Langella plays my grandpa. It's an incredible cast. The director was amazing, and I think that's probably one of the thing I'm most proud of. And I just learned a lot on that. And that was also something that was pretty crazy because I look back on that one film where I had 20 minutes of scuba diving lessons, and then on this film I had 3 weeks of training. So it's just like the big budget film and low budget. It's crazy the differences that happen. But it was an incredible experience, and I've learned a lot as a person. I think I'm a lot more carefree now, and I have my priorities straight, I think, a little bit, because I've been hanging out with, I'm with adults a lot, and I just see things a lot differently than most teenagers see them. I have to deal with adults a lot, which not deal, but I have to meet new people all the time. I have to talk to people I don't know all the time. And it's kind of scary, but I've learned a lot from it, and so I'm really thankful that you guys are having me here today. So I guess I was asked to open it up for questions if you guys think I'm interesting. Okay.
What schools are you looking at for college?
Man, I looked. Okay, so she asked me what schools I'm looking at for college. I definitely want to go to college, and for a while I wanted to study film. But now, as I'm getting closer to college, I maybe kind of want to study something else. I want to continue acting, that's what I want to do, but I want to have something kind of to fall back on and something else that I have under my belt. And so I looked at USC, UCLA, and Loyola Marymount out in California because I kind of saw myself being out there when I'm older. But now, I don't know, some things are changing. I don't really know where I want to go. I'm still trying to figure it out. At least I have another year or so. But any other questions? Dad, ask me a question. No one's asking questions. I'm kidding. Oh, there's nothing there. Yes.
I can talk loud.
Oh, she's good.
Your conscious awareness is phenomenal.
Oh, thank you.
It really is.
Thank you.
So those of us with grandchildren and children of your age, what would be the one thing that we could do or say or be to help with their conscious awareness?
With their conscious awareness, I don't know. I think the way my parents have raised me, it's just be respectful to people. Just be respectful to everyone. I mean, I just make sure you don't say something that you shouldn't say. And I know that's hard sometimes, but like I remember there was one time that I was doing an interview and they were asking me just incredibly inappropriate questions, and I wasn't going to answer them. You tiptoe around things, and I just think that know where you stand and your own values, and don't push that upon anyone else. Don't, just stay humble and just be respectful of other people, and I don't know, just try to be likable, I guess. Yes, that's a good question. He asked if I prefer TV or film and why. I've done a little bit of both, obviously, and I definitely have enjoyed both. I've never had a bad experience, but in long term, I'd love to be doing films. That's something I want to do for sure, and I think I realized that when I was doing Dig Two Graves, which was the low-budget independent film that I did. And then when I did Captain Fantastic, which is this huge cast, huge crew, I mean, it was an incredible, incredible experience, and it was a beautiful movie, and the Sundance Film Festival is probably one of the biggest in the world. So after going there and seeing that, that's something that I want to do, because being able to pick up and leave just for 2 months and then coming home as opposed to having to move away for 9 months, it's a lot nicer. And I don't know, I like films. You get more done instead of just the same show all the time.
So Samantha, how do your classmates respond to you, and are they in awe of what you're doing, or are they sort of oblivious?
A little bit of both. It's funny. That's why it's like I'm kind of nervous about talking about it, because I don't like talking about myself or really talking about this too much. So when people ask me, of course I'll talk about it, but I don't really bring it up at school. And it's funny. I was homeschooled my freshman year because I was in California, but then I started going to Bishop Kelly when I was a sophomore. And so I have all my old friends that go there, all the people I know. And since they've known me for so long, I'm just Sammy, and this is just what I do. It's cool and it's really neat, and they're supportive of me, and they're really proud, and they show how proud they are, but it's not, they don't treat me any differently if I'm, they're great friends. They're normal. I feel like I'm normal, I just do something that's abnormal, and so the response I get from it's a little bit different than the response other kids get for what they do, and so I have to handle things a little bit differently. But no, my friends are really great, and there's still some people who don't know about it, and so someone will bring it up or a teacher will say something about it. The kids in the class are like, "What do you do?" And I have to explain everything, and so I try not to talk about it because I like sometimes when people don't know, but for the people that do, they're really, I don't know, everything's normal.
All right, for those of you who may have a follow-up question, Sammy said, she's my friend now, I'm going to call her Sammy, said she would stick around, so feel free to do that. As we close our program, I want to say a book recognizing today's program will be presented to our Adopt-A School, and Sammy signed a nice long note in there. Oh, yeah. The name of the book is Anna and Elsa, All Hail the Queen, and Linda asked me to remind you that Grey's Anatomy is tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central Time. Oh, 7. She's one of those cool people that talks in Eastern Time. Central Time at 7 o'clock. And be sure to watch that. I will definitely DVR it at my house. Okay, as I promised, we are having a reprise of our video about our new location of our IBA Awards. Please watch it. It's really funny, and after it's over, we'll be adjourned.
you.